Hi, welcome to my automotive show EKG Canadian Enthusiast. Before start the show, I want to hit the like button and subscribe to my show. Now let's get started. Today on the show, we're going to talk about major motor news, of course, for major brand new vehicles and a comparison test of muscle cars. These are powerful and monstrous and brilliant. So now let's get started, people. Now, as you all know, let's start with motor news. Actually, let's start with motor news. Now, of course, today BMW have just revealed the BMW 2 Series Active Tourer. It's the all-new second generation replacement for the first generation, as you all know. It gets all new engines and all new styling, and it gets many more. Now, I have seen the pictures of the vehicle, which I will show you in my next video, where I will make it all about the 2 Series Active Tourer. But today, I'm going to go roughly over the motor news. So, it's now basic specs: 5.2 MPV, front wheel drive, all wheel drive, 7-speed TCT. And now the versions that are available from the launch are 218D, which is powered by a 2-liter turbo diesel 4-cylinder with 150 horsepower. Then you upgrade to a 220i variant, which is powered by a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, making 168 horsepower. And of course, then if you want a little bit more horsepower for your luxurious MPV, which is, I believe, they are luxury limousines, you can go for the 2-liter turbocharged engine with 215 horsepower. However, if you want even more horsepower, and if you care for the environment, I do, but not the way some crazy people are, of course, you can have 2 plug-in hybrids. Of course, you should know that. Now, those are not available until latter part of its production cycle, but they have been very much happy to give the information about them. The names of those variants are 225E and 230E. They are powered by a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder plug-in hybrid turbocharged drivetrain, combined 242 horsepower. And the bigger one, the more powerful one, has the same engine combination. However, it makes 322 horsepower, making it the most powerful subcompact executive MPV for the money you can buy right now, which is very impressive. Now, of course, these 2 drivetrains are not available yet, so I can't tell you how much they're going to cost or the general facts yet. I will not exactly do that just yet. I think you should know that up front. Now, of course, in terms of pricing, the prices will start from $30,000. But if you are going to go for $30,000, I have a recommendation. Don't do it. It's too cheap. If you're buying a BMW, buy the best model you can. The best model is the one to have. It's a simple fact, simple truth. Moving on from that, let's quickly get to the Ford Mustang. Who doesn't love a Ford Mustang? Because this will come into great relevance as we go late into this episode. The Ford Mustang now has 2 limited editions. Now, for the EcoBoost Premium version, you can have a new limited edition called the Stealth Edition, which it gets. For that, you get blacked out grills, large and 19-inch wheels, and many more upgrades to make it look even more sexier, even more brutish, like what a Mustang has to be frankly honest. Now, of course, there's another package that has to be said that's available. It's on the Mustang GT, which is the California package. If you know the history of the Mustang, the California package has a big relevance to it in the history of the Ford Mustang. Now, of course, apart from that, there are no big change report. Now, of course, there are decals and there are major updates, of course, have been made to that, as you should know. In terms of pricing, I give you a general view of Mustang pricing. The price starts from $28,000 for the entry-level Mustang EcoBoost. Then the EcoBoost Premium is $33,000, and then of course the Mustang GT is $37,000, and of course the GT Premium is $41,000. And of course, the range topper for the non-Shelby GT500 Mustang, the Mark I, is $54,000. And the Shelby GT500 is $74,000. but I will tell you it can be more expensive and why that's the case. Now in terms of horsepower, the EcoBoost 4-cylinder makes with 2.3 liters makes 310 horsepower. And of course, if you upgrade that to the 5-liter V8 on the GT model, it makes 460 horsepower, which is not so bad. It's very impressive. And top speed of 155 miles per hour. I don't know why would anyone buy a 4-cylinder Mustang. And if they do, they should not be allowed to buy a car ever again. Or you can have the Mustang Mark 1, which is the one I would rather choose, a standard Mustang, which give you extra 20 horsepower. With 480 horsepower and a top speed of 163 miles per hour. But of course, if you want the ultimate Mustang, the Shelby GT500 is the one to have. There's no questions about it. Even my favorite is the GT500, even though I'm a Dodge Charger Hellcat fanboy, I must admit. Now, it has a supercharged 5.2 liter V8 with 760 horsepower and 180 miles per hour. Very impressive, I must admit. Very good. So moving on now, in short, this Mustang update is very good, and there is a new 7th generation Mustang upcoming, and I'm very much looking forward for it. But by the time that comes, we would have done at least 30 seasons of this show. So if you want to see me doing 30 seasons of this show and having 1000 likes, well, please like me 1000 likes, and please watch my entire video so you can get an idea of what I am saying. That's what I want to say. And also subscribe if you are watching. I would love more subscriptions. So moving on from that, let's talk about muscle car comparison test, where I would take certain group of vehicles and put them in a comparison test, judging in my crucial criteria areas, as you should know. My criteria areas. Now, of course, let's talk about let's talk about the muscle cars that will be competing in this comparison test. First, the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Red Eye wide body. It's a 4-door sedan with 6.2 liters supercharged V8 with 797 horsepower, and then a top speed of 203 miles per hour. 0 to 60, 3.5 seconds to 60. That's crazy. Then of course you get, if you want 2-door muscle car, the Dodge Challenger SRT Super Stock. It's a badass name, I will admit. And of course, now the Charger cost $84,000, and plus certain optional extras, the Charger SRT Red Eye costs $90,000. So I just want to inform you that on that note. Now of course, the Red Eye, of course, powered by a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 with 807 horsepower in a muscle car. That's crazy. That's very, very crazy. And top speed of 165 miles per hour. Now, that's not because of bad engineering. It's because of tires. It doesn't have drag tires, so it can't do 200 plus miles per hour. If you want to do 200 plus miles per hour, the Red Eye will perfectly serve you. Price tag $90,000. These are collectible future classics, and you should rather buy them. And this is the last iconic moment of buying a crazy V8 in a modern day world of EVs and unnostalgic Teslas. Now moving on from that, next one I'm going to take is the Ford Mustang, the Shelby GT500. Of course, I told the specs of the GT500 just a few minutes ago, so I will not bother you with the Mustang specs. But however, I have taken the Mustang variant by considering the $10,000 carbon fiber package with a high performance package, which includes updated suspension and certain components and updated tires, which totals up to the price tag of $84,000. It's still cheaper than a Charger Challenger, but then there's a reason for that, which I will maybe for some it not, but I will tell you as we go deep on the video. Moving on from that, of course, is the Chevy Camaro ZL1. The ZL1 Camaro. This one is not selling well for a reason which you will see why in the you will see very well why that's the case. 6.2 liters supercharged V8 with 650 horsepower and 190 miles per hour. 0 to 60, 3.4 seconds. That's very quick, but slower than the super stocks, 3.2 seconds. So yeah, slower, but not that slow. I'm being picky. Price tag with certain options, the total price is $75,985. Round figure $76,000. So they are very expensive, but they are really not. These are faster than a Porsche 911 Turbo S in some regards. So yeah. So moving on, let's get to the requirements where I do. Now I have two categories to judge these vehicles. I have a weekend category and a daily category where I will judge these vehicles in certain requirements. So now let's get started, shall we? Let's get started. In terms of the daily category, in terms of interior, the Ford Mustang definitely has the best interior of all the muscle cars. So I will give it 10 out of 10. Then of course, for me the next best interior is the Dodge Charger. Its interior is very impressive and it's comfortable and it's luxurious. But the only reason it can't be the Mustang, despite being a four-door saloon, is its interior design. It's a little bit dated, but it's a four-door saloon, so it's more practical on that regard. But we get to that a little bit later. Then of course the Challenger's interior is very good, but a little bit less posher and luxurious than the Charger. 7 out of 10. Then of course the Camaro, it's GM. Build quality sucks, and the interior is very drab. It doesn't deserve in a $70,000 car. It doesn't. 6 out of 10. In terms of technology, the Ford Mustang is miles ahead. 10 out of 10. Charger, Challenger both get 6 out of 10. And the Camaro, just 5 out of 10. You see where this is going at this point. In practicality, some of them are two-door coupes, so practicality wise, this is not fair, but I will give it anyway. The Dodge Charger gets full 10 out of 10. It's a four-door saloon. And it has tons of boot space compared to its coupe competitors. So yeah. And of course, then you have the Challenger. The Challenger has a better rear seat and more space in the back than the Camaro. So I will give it 7 out of 10. And then the Ford Mustang, in typical fashion, is also fairly impressive. So I will give it 6 out of 10 in terms of practicality. Then the Camaro has the smallest rear seat rear seat space and the smallest boot. 5 out of 10. Ford economy. These are not frugal vehicles. Don't try in any meaningful way. But I will give points. 3 points for the Ford. 1 out of 1. This is bad for the Charger and Challenger. And 2 out of 10 for the Camaro. Ouchie. Of course, in terms of value for money, I will give them out of 10 depending against these vehicles. Not overall. The Mustang definitely has a better interior. Yes, and it has a better brand name. That means combined with everything, I will give it 10 out of 10. Charger, Challenger, 9 out of 10 for both of them. The Camaro has lost its pedigree because of the Camaro styling and many of its issues. And I will give it 7 out of 10. Overall, in terms of daily way areas, 39 out of 50 for the Ford. And the Challenger gets 34 out of 50. And the Charger also gets 34 out of 50. And the Camaro, just 25 out of 50. You see the pattern at this moment. Now let's move forward to the weekend categories, which I love, which make these muscle cars so brilliant. So in terms of styling, they are all perfect. 10 out of 10 for the Ford, Charger and Challenger. No question. But the Camaro, thanks for the ZL1, it looks good. So I will give it 9 out of 10. If this was a normal Camaro, this would be a 5. Trust me on that. Performance. Really, there's a question here? It's the Challenger, super stock. Yes, it's slower to 60 and it's quicker than everyone else in terms of 0 to 60. 10 out of 10. Then in terms of performance general, the Ford Mustang, the Challenger and the Camaro, I will give them 9 out of 10 each because you know why. Then of course, in terms of handling, the Camaro is the best. 10 out of 10. Then Ford, 8 out of 10. And then the old boys, of course, Challenger, Charger, 5 out of 10 and 4 out of 10 respectively. Then brand prestige, well, that is where I see the prestige level of a brand for the price tag. The Ford, it makes sense. It's a Mustang and everything combined. So 10 out of 10. Challenger and Charger, well, I will give it 9 out of 10 respectively for both of them. And the Camaro, 8 out of 10. In terms of future classics status, all of them get 10 out of 10. They are all future classics. and then of excitement. Then I include a new part which is called the excitement. This is where I would decide a vehicle, how exciting this vehicle is. Is it the intoxicating acceleration, the intoxicating engine noise, and things like that? 10 out of 10 is definitely for the Charger and the Challenger. And then 9 out of 10 for the Ford and 8 out of 10 for the Camaro. Overall, in the weekend category, 56 out of 60 for the Ford, 53 out of 60 for the Charger and the Challenger, and 54 out of 60 for the Camaro. You're thinking, well, Camaro is a point ahead. And you'll be surprised the Camaro's certain modernization helps you to get over, but in the end there are two ways. I will tell you what's best to have. Overall, in terms of points, the Ford Mustang is the best, 95 points. Then runners up is the Dodge Charger, 87 points, Challenger, 83 points, and then of course the Camaro, 79 points. Now that means that the Charger Challenger isn't better than a Mustang. Now this is my however, that's a general view. Now this is time for my view of the host, my personal take, what you should buy. My recommendation is to buy a Charger Challenger over a Mustang. Both of those are more iconic, and those are going to be far more of a future classic than a Ford Mustang. While the Mustang will have a V8, a Charger and a Challenger will most likely not have a V8 in the future. So in terms of the best muscle car, go for the Charger and the Challenger. They have the intoxicating V8, crazy horsepower, crazy styling. Go for that. It's the best option to have. So on this note, I'm going to end this video. Thank you very much for joining me on this show, and I hope all of my viewers watch my full video during its full duration. Thank you very much.